I'm Robin Montague, and in these short videos we get to meet the University of Portsmouth researchers featured in this season's Life Solved podcast. We're gearing up to our new series in the new year, but wanted to share this special episode in the run-up to Christmas. It seems no sooner have the barbecue items left the aisles and the kids gone back to school that we're met with the first glimmers of this magical time. Then all of a sudden we're careering towards the cult of Christmas. But amidst what could feel like relentless commercialism, we're seeing more socially conscious movements arise from places we wouldn't expect, particularly this year as we face a cost of living crisis and a winter of discontent. I want to find out if advertising really can be a force for good this festive season and more generally. And I'm joined by Karen Middleton, a senior lecturer here at Portsmouth. Hello, Karen.
Hello.
So if we step into Christmas then and what we're kind of seeing around this time of year, what tends to be the standard messaging we're getting in the build up to Christmas?
Christmas is a huge time for advertising. And this is where, most of the retailers will make, this is where sort of 50, 60, 70% of the yearly income is taken over the Christmas period. So it's a really, really important time, and it's become something of a kind of a media talking point as well, when particularly retailers bring their Christmas advertising out. So it's really very much a flagship time of year for advertising and for these brands. So there's this huge expectation on brands to create something that is not only going to be something that's very seasonal and Christmassy, but will also perhaps pick up on the zeitgeist in order to engage audiences and improve brand loyalty and get shoppers spending in their stores rather than their competitors. So, of course, this year with the cost of living crisis and the many challenges that we are all facing nowadays, it's very important for brands to get the tone right, and not least because the media will be very much looking and commenting on these ads that are coming out. So it's really when advertising comes into its own. Advertising seeks to engage people on an emotional level, and certainly at this time of year, there's the opportunity to do that with images about family and magical Christmassy scenes that will generate warm feelings towards the brand, and help customers actually to get excited about Christmas themselves. So it's very much part of the cultural backdrop. But even more than perhaps ever before is this need to think about those perhaps vulnerable groups in society, of which we all have an affinity with. Life is becoming much more challenging. We have a range of global challenges coming out of the pandemic. So there is a need for brands to engage with audiences in a much more human way than I think than ever before. So at the same time, we've got this expectation for organisations to contribute something to the world, and this cynicism around companies just being driven by profit. So there's an opportunity for brands, and we've seen this with the John Lewis ad that's come out this Christmas. They've partnered with organisations that support children in care, and that's actually come out in their advertising campaign. And it's very much creating an emotional message, telling a lovely story of a man preparing as he is going to be bringing a foster child into his home. But at the same time, linking that to the brand themselves actually contributing to a social problem by raising awareness. And that's, I think, that the key in terms of what advertising can do and should be doing in terms of engaging consumers, because of that platform, because of that media that spend that they have. They have the messages going out there, and also, the consumers are looking to companies to take much more responsibility. So that the John Lewis campaign has really hit the nail on the head, I think, in terms of getting the tone really right, and spotlighting a social issue, advocating for that, and that creates the affinity from the consumers with the brand that they'll be looking for.
John Lewis, obviously, it seems to be a force now when it comes to Christmas. The last, 10 years or so, it pioneers the Christmas advert. Everyone always thinks of John Lewis when they think of Christmas adverts. They've just really managed to, I don't know, maybe they have just always managed to get the tone right. And in previous years, they have slightly touched on these social issues. I mean, the Man on the Moon advert, I think that was sort of tackling, elderly loneliness, but it wasn't really a direct, obvious, this is what the issue is. However, this year, it was very obvious what the message was. It was very obvious, what they were trying to say. And also at the end of the advert, they even put a note about the partnership. Why is that? Why are advertisers becoming so much more obvious? Why do they feel they need to be more obvious?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. I mean, for all the reasons I've just been talking about, but however, there is also, whilst brands may try to engage in, work that's going to benefit society and deliver a socially conscious message, there's a huge potential for criticism from consumers, in particular on social media. So, the social media environment has created a voice for consumers and minoritized groups, a whole range of stakeholders that wasn't there before in response to what businesses and organizations are doing. So, it's well known now that, there is the potential for backlash, cancel culture. Brands and organizations are actually very fearful of having negative backlash, because efforts that they may make to promote good causes may actually be met with accusations of greenwash. We're also hearing about woke washing. So, there is very much this potential for receiving a negative backlash. So organizations who want to develop these kind of brand purpose campaigns, as we call them, are much more called to account in doing it in a very authentic and meaningful way than ever before. So not only can companies receive backlash for making mistakes or making gaffes where they might be very offensive. The famous example that is around gender stereotyping is Peloton, the sort of home exercise equipment brand who really got it wrong a couple of years ago. And they kind of told a story of a young woman getting fit and very thin for her partner, for the sake of her partner's pleasure, really, which was really, really off the mark. And they actually lost, a huge amount of money from their brand equity and their brand value. So not only do brands want to make sure that they don't get it wrong, they also, they're being called upon to demonstrate that they can do social good, but that this is not just around, tokenism or just jumping on the bandwagon of an issue, but that they actually are making a difference, because there's a feeling that they have the platform and they also have the resource that is not necessarily available in other areas, like in the government and in within charities. So the role of brands and companies is changing very much in terms of stakeholder expectations and consumer expectations. So it's now, there's a possibility of actually leading that change through the kind of the win-win of advertising that promotes and raises awareness of a social issue, but also gives organizations an opportunity to do some real good work to benefit society that's ideally relevant to their area.
Thank you so much, Karen. That was really interesting. If you'd like to hear the full interview, listen to the Life Solved podcast on the University of Portsmouth website, or you can just search Life Solved on your favourite podcast app now. You can also click the link in the comments box below or head to port.ac.uk/research. We'll be back in 2023 with a brand new series. So in the meantime, have a happy new year.